What are you the 1% of? I'm a test tube baby. That's like 0.001% of the population. I'm in the 1% for people with narcolepsy. I believe it's 0.05% of America and 0.04% for the world. I am the 7th generation in my family with the same name. At the end of my name I legally have a 7. Got my wisdom teeth pulled. One side grew back over a year from a fragment left. Dentist published an article about it and was so happy. I was not with another oral surgery. I figured I have to be in the top 1% of deaf guitar players worldwide. I heard completely fine for like 25 years and spent 19 years of that to practice guitar playing. Been legally deaf for 3 years now and still can play well. Muscle memory. I kinda want to start a band called Deaf Metal or something. My daughter was the first in Canada to have her cord blood harvested for stem cells. They were to be used for a bone marrow transplant for her brother. As a side note, my son was diagnosed with what was then called JCML, a child leukemia occurring in about 0.001% of all childhood leukemias. The survival rate I believe was in the 1 percentile range. Probably less than 1%, but I'm sucrose and fructose intolerant. No fruit, candy, ice cream, even some veggies for me. I am allergic to temperature extremes. Taking a hot shower or touching an ice cube will give me hives. Type 1 diabetes. It's a sit club. Alpha-gal allergy. I was bitten by a lone star tick and now I'm allergic to any kind of mammal meat. Most cases last between 6 to 8 months. Mine appears to be permanent after a decade. I can't even eat something that's been prepped, cooked on the same surface as beef or pork in restaurants. Wait, staff isn't too fond of me lol. I can spin on my ass really fast, like probably around 20 full rotations in one go. I start standing up. Then I put my left hand on the ground and I throw my right leg towards my left. Finally I retract my legs and put my hands on my knees and I go spinning like a motherfucking Beyblade. I've been doing this since I was 3 or 4. I guess I'm in the 1% of only having 3 lower front teeth. Not that I've looked it up, but I've run over a fish in my car. Whenever I tell the story, no one has heard anything like it. I have AB blood, which is found in less than 1% of the population. Spades. I am actually in the top 0.06% and used to be number 1 out of 43,000 players. So I'm like one of the top billionaires in the world, but in spades skills, so that earns me about a $0.00. I finished first in Tetris 99 once. I can swallow my tongue. Or rather put my whole tongue in the hole to my nose, where the nose and mouth come together. Apparently my ear doctor said that none of her colleagues believed her when she said she had a patient that could do that. So I had to do it whole she was filming. So she could prove them wrong. Hilarious to have my doctor shove her iPhone in my mouth. Top 0.005% of Simon and Garfunkel listeners on Spotify last year. I think it's like 0.5% of women or something, but I have a double uterus, medically called a didelphys uterus. A septum separates my uterus, which kinda made them form into 2 separate ones, and the septum continues down into the angina, so I also have a left and right side. Not fun to deal with, but I'm too scared to get the surgery for it. When Spotify released listening statistics at the end of 2020, I was on the top 1% of Weird Al Yankovic listeners. I am in the 1% of musicians who actually made a living playing music. Notice I did not say a good living. Also didn't say good music. At the end of Detroit Become Human, they tell you the percentage of people who got the same ending as you. Mine was 1%. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games 2008 pole vault. When I was 8 to 11, I had the second highest score in the world. That has most likely changed. I am part of the 1% of people being ambidextrous. If you have a 7 inches, 18 centimeters, penis, you are in the top 1% of men worldwide. Keep that in mind when everyone you know, and on the internet, somehow has a 8+ in schlong. Edit. I recommend everybody take a look at the website I got this info from, specifically the section titled Measurement, so that you can get an accurate reading. If you think this number sounds way too short, it's probably because you're measuring wrong. Everyone is in the 1% when you measure from your taint. Went to the optometrist recently and he said I have a uniquely shaped right cornea and said I was in the 1%. Did tests for a degenerative disease that I couldn't remember, but I'm in the clear. Some Latin sounding disease. Corneus blah blah. The doctor said most people generally have half a portion of astigmatism in their eyes. My right eye has 5 portions. I'm part of the 1 to 2% with red hair. Except in my house where I'm part of the 80%. Me and my kids are redheads. My wife is a blonde. Typing speed. Edit. To save everyone the Google, finding the comments. Average is around 40 to 50 WPM with approximately 100 WPM being top 1%. Triple nipple over here. 0.5% I believe. I scored a 99 on the ASVAB, which is graded using a percentile system. Not anymore, but I was in the top 0.0001 for Lyme infections. 1% of deer ticks carry the bacteria and 1% of cases develop heart block and Lyme carditis. Mauritians living in the UK. We often refer ourselves as Martians. I was born with a cardiac rhythm disorder. Normal heart rate for a newborn is like 130 per minute. Mine was like 30. I heard from my mother my case was so rare that several cardiologists from all over the country ditched their conferences to fly to the hospital I was in and to see how to fit a pacemaker into a newborn. Edit. Thank you so much for the upvotes awards. You are all awesome. I've died and had 6 wisdom teeth. And ironically those two things are related. For context, my heart stopped during my wisdom teeth extraction surgery. I don't remember for how long, but the anesthesiologist said he had the needle of adrenaline in his hand when my heart started beating again. I remember them waking me up and just saying, "You gave us a little scare there," before putting me back under and completing the surgery. After I came to and was sitting in the waiting room, I had to text my dad because I couldn't talk. I think I died. In which my dad obviously freaked out because they never even told him. I am top 1% of Google local guides in my area. I am a pilot. In the USA about 0.01% of the population has a pilot's license. I am also an amputee, which in the USA is about 1% of the population. Not sure what percent of the populace are amputee pilots, but it's got to be pretty small. Highest student debt? $536,000. I was in the first 1% to watch What Does the Fox Say? On YouTube. YouTube sent me an email telling me so. I'm 6'8", 203 centimeters tall. Marathon runners. I guess it's a pretty low percentage of people who've ran one, but I've ran over 40 and still going strong. Targeting being close to 50 by the end of the year. I have cerebral palsy. Out of 1,000 babies born, 2 to 4 will have it. I have aphantasia. I can't form images in my mind. If I read a book, for instance, I wouldn't be able to tell you what the characters look like. My brain just doesn't work like that. I found out at 30 that other people actually visualize things in their head. I always thought it was kinda like a figure of speech or something. According to my smartwatch, I'm in the top 1% of step count in the past 7 days. Wild and also boring. I actually have an RTX 3080. Anyone's birthday must be under 1% of the world population. Congrats everyone. I was addicted to heroin for a decade. I got clean and stayed clean. 5 years later, I've never relapsed and never see it happening. They say 10% of addicts get clean and stay clean. That number has proved to be high. From my personal experience, I've been to 38 funerals in 4 years. None were anything but overdoses. I'm still here. I'm one of the ones who made it out. Edit. I wasn't expecting this to gain traction. Thank you to all for your kind words of encouragement. If you have an addict in your life, know that there is a difference between the person and the drug. Usually. Of course there's city people. And that they feel like they are alone in the world. I can't really offer advice. Just be kind. That's all. Be kind. Thank you. Gray-eyed. Always thought they were green, but then they matched exactly with most images of gray eyes. Celiac disease. It's estimated that 0% of the population of Canada has celiac disease. Approximately 1 in 114 people. It's always said to be wildly undiagnosed though, so I'm not sure if that is fully true. The 1% who can beat the mobile games. Top 1% of Pink Floyd listeners on Spotify. I'm top 375 of about 1 million players in Beat Saber. Scoresaber. Com. U. 2,401,016,210,017,554 and sort equals 2. YouTube. Com. Watch. V equals G2RTMQBSZOE and AB channel equals poof poof. I'm a redhead with blue eyes, which is apparently much rarer than you think. Probably not 1% I guess. Lame. Edit. Went golfing and came back to this exploding. Yes, I wore SPF 50 because it's like 37 degrees here in Ontario. Yes, I still probably burned. And for those asking, it's Danish-Irish heritage for what it's worth. Also, you're all awesome. Coppertone crew represent. Edit 2. I was also born 4 months premature in 1982. Around 2 or 3 pounds. What's up? Can't kill someone with no soul, you bastards. Income. Foreign policy. Com. The 27th of February 2012. We're all the 1%. To make it into the richest 1% globally, all you need is an income of around $34,000. I have a syndrome where you have an extra X, female, chromosome. I have it in my blood but I don't have any symptoms and one of the best doctors in the UK said he has never seen or heard of this before. I had gastroschisis. Only about 1,800 newborn babies have it each year. Look up more about it but all I will say is that I no longer have a belly button. Redhead with blue eyes. 0.17%. Cerebral arteriovenous malformation, AVM. Mine unfortunately ruptured and gave me a stroke at the age of 21. I'm left-handed and born in February. I spent 20 years of my life driving nuclear submarines. I'm guessing there aren't a lot of people that have done that. I've made 1% or fewer of the comments on this post as of now. My last name. It's actually such a small number that to put it in a percent would be fruitless. My grandfather's parents came to Canada in the 1920s from Eastern Europe. A very Slavic last name. Their children, my grandfather and his siblings, decided to make the name more Canadian, was a totally made-up name. So up to that point no one else on earth had ever had that last name. I am the third generation with the name and there are only roughly 50 plus or minus that have ever living with it. If you Google my last name I am the top answer, with some cousins. There aren't many fourth generation males right now. So keeping the name going may be a challenge. I reported the man who sexually abused me as a teenager. And he was arrested. This only happens 1-2% of the time in Canada. The chances he will go to trial are 0.6%. And the chance he will be convicted is 0.3%. We will see. Still worth it. Reading speed most likely. I have regularly tested between 410 to 425 WPM. Edit. Tests as requested free reading test. Com. Reading soft. Com. Edit 2 since 86% of the world population can read. About 60 million would be the 1%. Women's height. I'm 6'1". Pretty certain I'm in the top 1% of people who have accidentally sprayed themselves with bear mace 3 times. No, I haven't learned my lesson. Late. But I'll add it anyway. Even though I'm actually in the 1-7%. I have mad lungs deformity in my left wrist, which for me resulted in my ulna and radius to form slightly bowed apart and no longer meet the wrist and hand bones. Took 20 plus X-ray sessions. Many clueless doctors. And one great one. And finally a specialist bringing it international to get it diagnosed. It's barely noticeable physically, and has a few physical drawbacks that are seldom an issue. Jimi Hendrix is believed to have had it, which made him able to angle his hand in a way that made his playing unique, which is pretty damn cool. I have absolute pitch, a form of synesthesia that allows me to identify and recreate any musical note without a reference tone. The rate is supposed to be 1 in 10. People, but I'm pretty sure that number is higher in places with tonal languages. And in music students. I have voluntary nystagmus. Essentially I can shake my eyes rapidly. I drive a BMW and always use my turn signal, even pulling out of my driveway. 1% of high school athletes go on to play in college and receive a scholarship. I own more Bitcoin than 99% of the world population. But then again you only have to own like $200 in Bitcoin to be in the top 1% of the world population, haha. Kidney stone makers. Dash. Top 1% on the Reddit challenge. Second. Have a Reddit trophy proving that. So my mom's the 1% here. Eosinophilic granuloma Langerhans cell histiocytosis, approximately 1 to 2 per million adults end up with the disease. It's where a dendritic cell mutates and starts calling white blood cells to an area resulting in a lesion. This is a fantastic article about it. What makes it so what the frock worthy is. 1. She had 1 lesion. 2. It was on the back of her head. 3. It ate through her skull. 4. She was in her 40s. Usually they occur within the first 4 years of life and also in boys. It doesn't help that she was also in the approximately 9% of folks with non-HPV related cervical cancers. Lego Star Wars. I own about 60 Phase 2 plain clone troopers.